It's a mecca for sure. Well, man, it's great to meet you. And before we get into your work and your life, I want to ask you, 4 years ago, everything was stopping because of this pandemic. We're all wrapping our heads around it. How did you survive the pandemic and how did it change you?
Man, so when that happened, I was delivering for this local pizza spot, and kind of it never stopped in a sense. It kept going. And I also was just getting into working as an executive editor at a media company. So I was, traveling a lot during that. And then that happened and it kind of just slowed everything down and it came to, a pause in a sense. And how I got through it was I really went in on figuring out what it was that I wanted to do for myself. Because I had been helping out and doing things for people for years, stretching myself so thin, but this time really gave me some time to reflect on what I wanted to do and what my purpose was here. And I think I started really, finding it in those times of, solitude. And it was wild though. Like when it first happened, it was like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like everything shutting down and having to stay indoors and just you see all the news stuff. And it was because I started writing for the media company then. So when I started writing, it was, happening in China, and then you saw it like happening in the UK, and then I was like, oh, that's not gonna get over here to America. And then when it did, it's like, okay, this is a worldwide thing,
Yeah.
So it was neat though, in a sense, being able to write about it in real time and being able to post it and share it with people, and then it happened to us.
Yeah.
You know?
I
So
remember I remember in December 2019, there was a picture online in the Times or something, and there was no one in Beijing. And that's when the shiver went up my spine. I was like, dude, what? Like,
yeah.
that's one of the most populated centers in the world, and no one was gone.
Mhm.
And they were saying that there's this thing happening, the smog's going away, we don't know what's going to happen. And then it just, after that, everything just kind of started gaining steam. But what I like about what you said, and I realize more and more, is there's so many people that had silver linings. As much woe as we were going through,
Mhm.
you hit this existential crisis point in your life where you had to decide what you were going to do. And I look at everybody now and we talk about how everything changed. I think it changed in a really good way for humanity. I think we all have a more razor sharp idea, no matter what it is. Like any choice that we make, we have been put on a coal collectively as a planet to say, who are you? What do you want? And what are you going to do?
Yeah, man, I agree with you 100%. Like it really did because it put, everything under a microscope in a sense, and it let you see this. And then, just the whole thing, people not working and the unemployment thing too, and all the money they were giving out, it really gave people, you know, in a sense, like it let them see that, we don't always need somebody else to go work for. We can start creating some things on our own. And I think that was a big, thing that happened from the pandemic, as awful as it was. But yeah, like there were definitely some silver linings in there for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So, as a writer and creative right now in 2024, if I put you in front of a bunch of third graders at career day and one of the kids is curious and says, hey, what do you do for a living? How do you answer that child?
Mm. So what I do for a living is I write stories and I also am able to, help people and guide them to find their true north in a sense, like what their purpose is for them. Because I used to be a confused kid myself, and not really sure, but I knew I was here for something bigger. So it was like, I can help you. I know you're only in third grade, but still, I can help direct you and, get you thinking about the bigger picture, even at an early age.
So, let's put you in that seat in the third grade. What did you want to be when you grew up? What was your dream?
So after watching, probably around that time, so Top Gun, I wanted to be a fighter pilot.
Yeah.
That was the thing I wanted to do, but I, definitely not in that world now. But that was in a sense one of the dreams I had then as a kid was, being a fighter pilot.
That's one of the generational things, man. The media was so big, TV, films, because I wanted to be next to Poncho in California. I wanted to be one of the Chips dudes. And then, of course, when I got older, I saw the reality version of Cops, and I was like, yeah, I think I'm good. I think I'm going to step out of that, you know? So,
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's wild how it works. So, take me back to your childhood. What were the seeds that were planted in you to be a creative, to be somebody that's helping people get to a better place in their lives? How did that happen?
Yeah. Well, in a sense, when I was younger, I got bullied and picked on a lot. And that kind of, that forced me to kind of go into myself and isolate a little bit, but to find my creativity. And back then I was writing short stories and I could always, you know, be content with being by myself. I was never bored. I could always find something to do, whether it's, reading, writing, playing with my little army men or, doing puzzles, things like that. I just always, had this just inner knowing in a sense in me that, I can create my own happiness in a sense, even if the outside world's not really treating me the best, I can always treat myself well.
So, talk to me a little bit about the first story that you ever wrote that you gave to somebody or presented where the light bulbs went off and you were like, this is the life. I'm meant to write.
Mhm. So it was about 10 years old, and it was I don't even know where, in a sense, where the inspiration came from, but I just remember watching. I was a young kid and seeing was it Night of the Lupus with like the big bunnies, like
Yeah.
these big like killer bunnies. So I wrote a story about these big giant tomatoes, and they like came into the city, whatever, and did what they did. But I just remember just writing the characters out, and then I went to my was it my so 10 one of my teachers, I forget, maybe fourth grade, fifth grade teacher with that and showing her that, and she gave me, good feedback. And this was after I had just transitioned to a new school too. So it was just like in a sense a new hope. And I presented it to her, and she, poured into me and told me that it was good and to keep it up. So that kind of lit the fire in me to just, keep doing this creative thing. And of course, life takes us where it's going to take us, and I kind of fell off of that a little bit, but I'm back there with it now for sure. So yeah, definitely started at that young age.
One of the cornerstones of any good writer is the fact that we read as well. What was the
Oh
book for
yeah.
you growing up? Your favorite or one that was seminal in your development or one that you go back to this day?
So I one like the one that stands out in my mind is A Light in the Attic, those short stories. But
Uh-huh.
then also I loved R.L. Stein
Mhm.
and the Goosebumps series
Yeah.
and that stuff. So that was, yeah, they were my go-tos back then as a kid.
So if you could meet one person alive on the planet right now that you find fascinating or interesting, who would it be? Someone you want to spend some time with?
Mm. Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah.
He would be my guy to sit down with just because, he's written so many cool screenplays, and just the way he, can direct a film and then sometimes will even be in the film himself. But I think he has just such a creative mind and just a great storytelling ability.
The first time I went to Hollywood, they sell scripts there on the boulevard and everywhere around there. The one
Mhm.
script that I bought was Pulp Fiction. And
Awesome.
man, dude, I held on to that for years. And then one of my son's friends was getting into acting, and I said, I'm gonna give you something right now. And I want you to
Mm.
hold on to this for the rest of your life. This means a lot. And I gave him the script, but I remember reading through that and I was like, man, he was just him and Roger Avery, I believe, was co-wrote it. And they
Yep.
were just so good at what they did. And I guess his swan song's coming out. I guess he's getting ready to make his last film, which, I wouldn't think he would put an age barrier on it, but maybe he has things he wants to do other than that. But his
Mm.
swan song's going to be coming out.
Yeah, that's interesting because yes, somebody like him, you wouldn't think that he would, put that, end date to it. But who knows? Like you said, probably has other things. It's like some of these artists, that always say they're, this is my last album, and then a couple years later, here comes another album.
That
You know,
it's just like with Kiss, like, I keep waiting for Gene Simmons to say, "Not yet. I think we're done. We're coming back," you know?
right?
It's
Oh yeah,
wild.
but that's got. Oh yeah, it is wild, but that's got to keep them going. You know what I mean? It
Yeah,
just
dude.
and helps them just stay alive and keeps them young.
Yeah. I saw them in the late '90s in Topeka or Wichita or something, and man, it was the loudest thing. Some dude took me to the show and had earplugs, and he was like, "You're gonna want these." And I was like, "I'm fine. I'm in my 20s. We're drinking some beers going in. No worries. It's good." Man, we went down on the floor, Gene's there with his wings and the blood, and I put him in because it was loud. It
Mm,
was really
bro, I
loud.
can imagine, man.
Yeah, it was
That's
good.
awesome.
It was fun. So let me ask you this. Every day, what is it that makes you wake up, get out of bed, be you, be a creative, helping others and writing that story? What is that motivation for you?
So right now, the big motivation is I'm a coach in this self-development program that's for Eric Thomas University. So every morning at 6 a.m., we have, a group of people that we're holding accountable, and they're giving us their quarterly goals and their I wills for the day. And, that's something that really gets me up because I'm passionate about that too, like coaching and helping people. And too, it helps keep me on track because every day I got to come with what's my quarter two goal this week and what am I doing or this quarter and what am I doing this week and today to keep me on track to completing that. And right now I'm working on my audiobook right now for that. So it just keeps me sharp and wakes me up every day, man.
Absolutely. So you have to balance between coaching and being yourself as a creative. You have this balance
Mm.
because you got to take care of yourself and then you're taking
Oh
care of
yeah.
others. How do you find that balance? How do you make that work for you?
So one of the things that I do is I have a strong morning routine. And I've learned to develop that over the years, got into the self-development space heavy in 2017 and saw the power there was in a routine and these people waking up at 3, 4, 5 a.m., whatever it is. You find out what works for you. But having that structure in the morning to be able to give to yourself before you go give to the world, and that's me just, sitting and having my quiet time, being able to read, whatever book that I'm reading that month, reading that, going to the Bible app and, getting with God for that time and doing my meditation and working out, stretching, doing some push ups, drinking my tea, just the stuff that I've, brought to, my routine in the morning because everybody's going to look different. But I've realized that, yeah, I need to have that in the morning before I start giving out to the world. Cause yeah, if we don't give to ourselves, man, can be an ugly ride.
Yeah, I certainly can. So of all of these coaching stories that you have so far, what's one of your favorite success stories?
Yeah. So this one guy came in there and he's an artist himself. So he's a singer, songwriter, rapper, and he just really was so unsure about himself because he's in the mental health space, so it's not a lot of people are talking about that. And he was just really, timid in a sense and putting his work out there. He doesn't wasn't sure if he should do it, how the feedback would be, and we just we coached him through the months until he got all the songs finished recording in the studio and he was able to release an EP was like to be the end of the end of 2023. He put out his EP and he's gotten great reviews with it and that's helped him go perform live now and he does stuff with you know mental health institutes too in New York, so he's out of Brooklyn. So we were just able to really just get him to see this version of himself that he didn't see just yet, but he was able to do that, release the music, and he's just been striving ever since. So that was huge, and it's awesome seeing people you know, that we are able to, give advice to and guidance and see them take it and really apply it. And then they just take off and it's
Yeah.
awesome.
For sure. So let me ask you this. You have a dream tonight. You run into the 18-year-old version of you. You can give that young version
Mm.
of you a piece of advice based on the wisdom that you've gained, the journey you've been on. What advice would you impart on that young version of you?
I would tell him to really learn how to silence the outside world and really believe what is in your heart of hearts, because what that is, like, that's your, in a sense, like your purpose talking to you. And I got a late start in what I was doing. Like, I'm 42 now, or I'm gonna be 42 in June. But like, if I could have, felt the way I do, and known about what I did at 18, like, who knows where I would have been. But everybody, our timing is different, and we all, in a sense, get to where we're going when we're supposed to be. But yeah, if I could just talk to him at 18, and yeah, I would tell him to silence the naysayers on the outside world and really, focus on yourself,
Yeah,
because so many of us don't even really know who we are, you
yeah,
know.
yeah, for sure. So of all these things that you've done and evolved into in your life and accomplished, what are you the proudest of?
I am proudest of, honestly, the book that I wrote. It's called Farang in the Land of Smiles, and it's about my been to Thailand 3 times. I have friends that live out there, and they're artists and musicians, and have successful careers out there. And that, to me, is my proudest achievement, because it showed me that I can start something and I can finish it.
Yeah,
Before, that was a big thing. Before, I would start so many things and never finish anything. But with this completing that, it showed me, it's like, I can do it. And it's, working through the editing struggles and the formatting process and all that, before I would have quit on, be like, oh, this is too much. But it's like, no, I'm going to push through this and get it done. And that's definitely my proudest accomplishment, man.
so I kind of touched on books and as a creative, I'm curious, what was the first concert you saw growing up that blew you away?
Ooh. First one I saw, I was 16, and I saw The Offspring,
Nice.
Cypress Hill, and The Living End at
Wow.
the Electric Factory in Philly. And that
Wow.
was just awesome, because when you get a, diverse group of artists up
Totally.
there. And then also, I saw Eminem down here at the House of Blues, and he had the whole crew, everybody with him. Like, and that was just, you know, seeing somebody to be able to command the stage and his presence. Then it was just like, oh yeah, that's pretty awesome to be able to do. And then you have the catalog of music you have. So yeah, they were two of the ones that stand out for sure.
Let's say we get off this call and a time machine pulls up in front of your house. You can either go back in time and see one event in human history, or you can see the future. Where are you going?
Mm. I would love to go back in time and see what the Shogun era, in the, like, Japanese era, or the samurai era in Japan,
Yeah,
and just see what that world was like in that whole Shogun era, because I've always been fascinated by the Asian culture and whatnot. And just, yeah, that's where I would go back to.
right on. So let me ask
Not
you
a
this.
particular, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's great. So if anyone wants to pick up your book, they want to hire you, they want to learn more about you, reach out, what's the good business?
All right, so my book right now is available on Amazon. Um, working on the website right now, but yeah, right now you can go to Amazon and get it. It's called Farang in the Land of Smiles. Show you a copy right now, real quick, just so they see the cover. But
Yes.
that's it right there. Farang in the Land of Smiles, available on Amazon. And for the coaching stuff, you can go to The Voice and the Energy on Instagram and Facebook, and the contact information is on there, so you can get in touch with us there. So yeah, that's where you can find me. And also, Commission's Corners on Instagram is another good way to get in touch with me.
Right on. James, it's been a joy, man. You're a cool cat. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your energy and your good light, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, Joe. It's been a pleasure of mine too. Thank you so much for the opportunity, man. Have a great rest of the day.
Yes, sir. You too, man.